Morning, Shane. Thanks very much for speaking with Blue Notes again. You've now completed the life transaction with the sale to Zurich. Can you give us a sense now of what the business looks like? Previously you sold the pension and investments business to IOOF, now this tranche. What is the shape of the ANZ Wealth business?
Well, first we should just step back a little bit and understand why we're doing this. And it's all about being the best bank we can be for our customers. And in a fast-changing world, particularly with new technology and new disruptive competitors, we want to win by doing the very, very best things for our customers, being totally focused on them. And so we said we should do a few things and do them really well. And the best way to do that is partnering with the world's best. And so we said, hey, we've got a great banking business in terms of being the best bank for homeowners and people running a small business. But in terms of some of the periphery businesses, like wealth, we didn't really have a winning proposition there. And we were there, we were good. So we had a different way forward, and that's about partnering. And so we said we want to be talking to customers, but we don't want to be manufacturing product. So we've partnered with two great companies, IOOF, in terms of our pensions and investments product, and today announcing the partnership with Zurich, one of the world's best insurance companies. And so it's really about partnering and doing the best things for customers.
So when you look at the shape of the business, what it was and what stays with ANZ today and what's with Zurich and what's with IOOF, then the sort of customer face is still with ANZ, the manufacturing on one side with Zurich and the other side with IOOF. What else does ANZ still have? How do the parts work together?
Well, essentially what you just said. So people will still be able to come to ANZ, whether that's in a branch, whether that's online, whether that's through a call centre, and still be able to get access to those great products. So, nothing has changed from our customers' perspective, except we're going to now be partnering in terms of the manufacturing and management of those products with some of the world's best companies. And so we keep the customer front end, and an important part that people might see and know is the financial planners. So the ANZ financial planners, of which there's about 300 of them across the country, they're going to stay, and they're still going to be working in our branches and talking to our customers about their financial prospects.
You mentioned Zurich, and Zurich's obviously one of the most well-known brand names in the business, global scale. Originally the transaction was going to be a whole of the business of wealth, and it's gone part to IOOF and part to Zurich. What was behind that, and how did you choose Zurich for this latest part?
So we'd always run the business together for many, many years, and so in an ideal world it was simpler for us potentially to be able to just sell it together. But through the process, we were really focused on doing the right thing for our customers, which is how do we get the best product to our customers. And so what we found in dealing with the number of parties that were interested is, actually we found that the best way was to actually split it up and do the best we can with IOOF on pensions and investments, because they're really strong in that, and do the best that we can on life insurance with Zurich. Here's a world leader who's really, really the leader, and now going to be the #1 retail life provider in Australia. So it was just better for our customers to do that. A little bit more complexity for us, a little bit more cost associated with the separation, but absolutely in the interest of our customers.
But you're happy with the overall pricing as well then?
Absolutely. When you add it all up, it's a very fair price for the assets that we have, and more importantly, this is less about the price that we get. This is about entering into a 20-year relationship with two great companies to make sure that we're always going to have great, attractive, simple, easy to understand product out there for the benefit of our customers.
You mentioned 20 years. Can you talk us through a couple of the key elements of that? I mean, is it structured around targets, for example, or other hurdles? What are the key points of how it will work?
No, it's not structured around targets. And that's really important, because what we know, and we've seen this over time in our industry and others, is when you have sales targets as part of these agreements, it can potentially lead you to poor outcomes, because you're too focused on achieving the targets rather than doing the right thing by customers. So no. It's a real partnership. We're both in this together. We both want to invest in terms of better product, better distribution, more digital, all of those things. But it's really just, it's a marriage of two great companies, and three in fact in this particular case with IOOF, Zurich and ANZ, to do the right thing by customers. Yes, we have some agreements in there about how we will resolve problems if and when they come, etc. But it's really about focus and a commitment to each other to do the best.
When we look back to the last full year result a couple of months back, It's fair to say the market was pleased with this sort of simplification process, but then immediately the questions were raised about earnings. How do you fill the earnings hole? Is there an earnings implication here with the wealth transaction?
Well, as we've sold these assets go to these new partners, so the earnings go with it. But net, so we'll be a slightly smaller company as a result, so we'll have less capital out there, and we'll have slightly less earnings. But in terms of returns, the returns on our capital really don't change a whole lot. So it's a kind of a net square from that perspective. But we believe that being slightly smaller but more focused ultimately is in the interest of our shareholders and our customers.
Indeed, you touch on capital. Capital will be freed up by this transaction, yes. And the ASX announcement mentions that there's an opportunity there for capital management. What are the options for capital management?
Well, we don't have the money yet, so on both transactions they're going to happen over the next 12 months, so let's say in about a year's time we'll be the recipient of most of that money. And depending on where we are, and things change. If anything I've learned in the job in the last 2 years, things change. Depending on where we are at the time, we'll have to have a look at how much capital we need to run the bank, how much capital we need to satisfy our regulatory responsibilities, and if we have excess, then there are options to return it. Generally, those things would be through either dividends, although our ability there would be constrained by our franking, or potentially through buybacks of some description.
Just finally, the broader simplification process that's underpinned your time as CEO, across the whole bank, how far through that simplification are we?
Well, I feel like we've sort of broken the back of that, if you will. We're more than halfway through. We've simplified by selling some partnership stakes, in terms of particularly in Asia. We've sold quite a number of businesses. In fact, I think at last count we were up to about now 17 disposals, some big, obviously a lot quite small. So I think we've really got momentum on that. We've reduced the number of products that are available in our branches, which is, again, another important part of simplification. And it all goes back to this really simple philosophy, that in a complex world, where customers are busy and they just want us to help them out, the way to win for our customers and our shareholders is to do a few things and do them incredibly well. We're really clear on what those few things are, and essentially we are just exiting, shrinking or partnering on everything else. So we're more than halfway through, but we've still got a long way to go.
Well, thanks very much for speaking again with Blue Notes.
Thank you.